My name is Joe Lynch. I'm the Division Director of Administrative Services at Mariposa County Health and Human Services. With me, I have Christina Allen, who's a Senior Administrative Analyst, Andy Carter, who's an Administrative Analyst, and Kim Keith, who's a Program Specialist with our Public Health Division. Our goal today is to cover a few things. The first is attestation. If you've not heard that word, we will cover it for you. Any opening requirements that are required for you to be prior to you opening your businesses, and then ongoing requirements are the requirements that will be after you're open as we move forward. And lastly, I'll talk about febrile respiratory illness, or FRI, and a screening tool that we have for county employees, businesses, or even individuals to use, and the purpose of that. And then we'll end with questions. So I think you can see there's a chat box. If you're not on the phone, you can put a question in the chat box at any time during the presentation, and at the end we will answer questions. If you're on the phone and not online, at question time we will open it up for questions, so you can take yourself off mute, ask a question. We'll be happy to answer any of those. So with that, we will get started with attestation, and Dr. Allen.
Thanks. So the beginning of May, we as a county submitted our attestation to the state. So our county health officer, Dr. Sergienko, he presented the attestation to the Board of Supervisors, who then gave us a letter of support, and we were able to submit that attestation to the state at CDPH, and then they approved that. And that allowed us to move into phase 2.5. So that was us attesting to our safety as a community and the mitigation strategies we could put in place to keep everybody safe. So we were able to move into phase 2.5, which at that time meant the retail businesses and restaurants could open with the appropriate measures in place for social distancing. So you saw that happen. And now, because of that, those of us as counties who had received that 2.5 approval also now get to move forward with hair salons and barber shops, and then also places of worship were added to that as well. So that's where you all fall into this. And so now we have industry guidance from the state. That's what we'll be discussing today. And also within our attestation, we do have trigger points if we need to toggle back, if we get a cluster of cases or deaths due to COVID-19. We do have those in place, so we know when or if we need to toggle back going forward. So that is the attestation.
Yeah, so some things to know that mentioned on another sector. I liken it to a slide rule. I think our public health officer, Dr. Sergienko, likens us to being in phase 2.75 right now. So in 2.5, as Christina said, retail and restaurants open, but places of worship and haircutting didn't, and now it will. However, we're not in phase 3 yet. So it's somewhat of a slide rule. So phase 3 would be hopefully in mid-June if we have an incubation period. If you haven't kept up with the Facebook from the sheriff's office or the public health, an incubation period is typically 14 days. So when you see a modification like allowing hair salons or allowing places of worship to open, typically you'll see the next communication about other sectors that might be opening 14 days later, because that's how long the virus takes to incubate. So in case you were wondering about that. But to Christina's point also, if we have, I think our county we're at 4.5 cases in a 14-day period, they may trigger us to move back to a more restrictive phase. And some of that's dependent on whether or not there's community transmission as opposed to individuals with contact tracing, where we can identify where it's at. As you'll see as we go through the guidelines, one of the things to note about attestation is, as you complete attestation or your checklist and guidelines to open, the county does not verify that. So it's a self-attestation. However, your boards typically have been very local and they travel a lot. So although we won't come and check you off as having completed the checklist, your board certificate, I think the Board of Cosmetology and other boards that you might be part of, they do come out and check. So just wanted to caution you on that. But let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with what the opening requirements are. So these are pre-opening requirements to your businesses.
Okay, so the opening requirements, first you need to get back to your normal permitting operational conditions. And the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology has put on their website a returning to work checklist for the establishments that go along with the California guidelines that can be used to get you ready. There should be a written work site specific plan. You need to walk your space and do risk assessment and communicate that plan and train that to all of the people you work with and any staff. The plan should be evaluated to make sure that it's working and for compliance. And you can consider upgrading certain items to maybe touchless payment or touchless hand washing sanitation, just so that you reduce
Someone's got us on hold, so we will work on that. All right, perfect, thanks.
You may also need to take measures at the reception desks to ensure that there's physical distance there, and if there can't be physical distance, then put in a barrier such as plexiglass or some other barrier for the reception desk. And then we'll go to the ongoing requirements.
Yeah, so just a note on these opening requirements, some of the things such as barriers, there's not been any state-specific guidelines of what is a barrier. And so when it talks about plexiglass, prior to opening, if you need us in the county to come out and work with you, so myself or Kim or Carrie Gibbons with environmental health, we'd be happy to come to your establishment and help you identify any issues you might have. I think the most important part of the opening requirements is you have to meet your normal permitting guidelines, which is why the checklist that was sent out by the state agencies is important. And also having a written plan on hand. You don't need to post it anywhere, but just make sure that if it's requested that you have it available. All of the information that you see today, whether you have peers or partners that are on today, will be recorded, so it'll be on the county website. And all of the guidance especially the state checklist can be looked up at covid19.ca.gov/roadmap. You don't need to worry about remembering that at this time. We'll actually have it up a little bit later so that you can see. And with that, we'll go into ongoing requirements.
So the purpose of getting ready in the plan is to get prepared for the new ongoing requirements or how your business will operate while minimizing the spread of COVID. So the most important thing here is to be able to slow down or stop the spread. So they're asking that you provide temperature and symptom screening for all of your staff. So we have an FRI, febrile respiratory illness screening tool that can be used. Encourage workers and customers who are sick to stay home. If you are able to screen your customers prior to them coming, encourage them to stay home or cancel their appointment or reschedule their appointment if they are sick or experiencing any symptoms. Hair salon or barbershop operators should provide workers with protective equipment and make sure that you train them on how to use the protective equipment. If it's goggles or face masks, make sure that they do it properly and they sanitize or wash their hands before putting on or taking it off. Also, ensure that you have enough sanitizer and hand washing and cleaning supplies for your operation. And then you'll have to come up with a plan to frequently disinfect your common surfaces or high-touch surfaces, doorknobs, restrooms, reception area, pens, door handles, credit card machines, things like that. Also, you'll need to clean and disinfect between clients. So all of your tools, electronic and non-electronic, per your industry requirement, the chairs, the headdress, shampoo bowls, and all the other items. And wherever possible, doors should be left open so they, and they don't close automatically, so that reduces the amount of people touching those. And require your workers to avoid handshake, hugs, and similar greetings. The physical distance piece is going to be a little bit hard while you're working, but if we can keep physical distance in the lobbies, reception areas, and amongst people, that would be the best.
Yeah, so the county health officer order does not require masks. I think your boards strongly recommend them. So it's very important. I think the reason why our public health officer hasn't required it is because the donning and doffing or putting on and taking off of masks done improperly tends to cause as many issues as if you didn't wear one. And secondarily, when we wear a mask, sometimes we feel like we're invincible. So we take some of the other things, such as putting a plexiglass up at your register or maintaining social distancing when you can. You think if you have a mask, that's not necessary. And in reality, when you're wearing the mask, you're keeping yourself from getting others sick and not stopping yourself from getting the virus. So social distancing and frequent hand washing are really, I think those two, they're the most important and continue to be the most important. I did want to talk about the febrile respiratory illness screener. So we have an FRI, this is the older one, but we have an FRI screener that will also be located on our website that on a daily basis, you and your employees can go in and say, this, the one you see here is the departmental one, but it'll say, are you an employee, yes or no, if it's no, where do you work? And then, do you have any fever, chills, new cough? If you answer yes, it'll prompt you not to go to work. It's really important. I think one of the key things is that people, and I know the business has been closed a while and people are really hurting, but if you go to work sick, it's really, really the worst case scenario. And if any of your employees come in sick, it's the worst case scenario. So really use an FRI screening tool to make sure that employees don't come in. Now, when your employees or you use the FRI, the information is not presented back to you as here's employees that are sick. It actually goes to Dr. Nunez, who's an epidemiologist down in Merced, and her goal is to determine if we have symptoms that are in clusters anywhere in town. So by completing this, what you're doing is kind of taking the time to self-check yourself to make sure you're sick or not. And then when you complete it, you're assisting us in our biosurveillance of Mariposa so we can identify if we're starting to see any cases, symptoms, or issues in the community. Between the pre-work that you'll do before you open, the ongoing work of cleaning and social distancing and avoiding those hugs. We just did the places of worship, and it's like, hey, you go there, that's kind of what you do sometimes, hug it out. But the more we can work together as a community, the more we can limit our exposure to COVID-19. As we've talked in all of the sectors, I think we've done quite a few now. We've had a very measured approach to moving forward as a community. I think it's a very aware community. And so as we continue to open sectors, if you need our assistance to help you with your businesses, please ask. If you're struggling to find the supplies that you need, ask. We'll see what we can do. We don't have them, but we have pipelines. So if you need hand sanitizer, let us know. If it's something that's out there, let us know. We want to work with you, or Tara Schiff, who runs our business development for the county. Any of us will do what we can to help you get established and opening and create your pipeline to make sure that you stay healthy with your employees. So there's no question too much. I think with that, we're actually at the question stage, and I see one in the screen. Oh, that was from, yeah, it's just a screening tool. But all of the stuff you see will be linked. That really, so in summary, we have the attestation as a self-attestation. You are still beholden to your the state agency that oversees your business. Having a written plan on hand is essential, required. We can assist where we can, but please follow the guidance tools from the state for our sector. They were created pretty well thought out. Actually, each of the sectors has been pretty strong. So with that, I will open it up for questions. If you're online, you can put it in the chat. If you're on the phone, you can just take yourself off mute and ask. But we're available for questions. If you're wondering if I need an appointment, no, I've been involved since 25, so.
Good afternoon. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I came in a little late and I did not hear what you said about churches. Will you repeat that, please?
So the churches was a different sector, but that whole presentation will be on our county website. But churches are also open in the same, barbershops and churches, places of worship are both available to open. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to note, I think most of our services look like they'll start on Saturday or Sunday this weekend.
I have a question.
Yes,
Wonderful.
ma'am.
Thank you very much.
So basically, we have to have a written plan for disinfecting. And other than that, it's basically our state guidelines, because state board has very specific guidelines and we follow those always. So other than the written plan, that's really the biggest change that we have to have. Is that correct?
Correct. And if you have a shop that has, 3 or 4 chairs, make sure they're 6 feet apart.
Okay.
Right.
But yes.
Okay.
No, as long as she's has these guidelines, yeah.
Yeah, because I think your question was, as long as they do that state checklist, it covers the guidance.
Yes.
Then outside of that, it's
There's certain things that are a bit different just in operations. They're suggesting one client at a time, some other operational things, but it's all listed in the guidance.
Yep. If you maintain your state checklist, you will maintain the guidance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. We have a couple of questions here. Can you please repeat what you mentioned about masks? Yes, the state or the public health officer order does not require masks in Mariposa County. If the guidance from your operating board is more restrictive and requires masks, you would have to use them. However, we will not require them in the county. I don't know, Scott, if I answered your question.
I think it's the board requirement.
This one says must, this
Yeah.
one says strong.
Okay, so the cosmetology board says they strongly recommend. Is that true?
And I will tell you, the same as
Okay, yeah.
the same as churches is typically at a haircut, there's a lot of vocalization, there might be a lot of talking. And anytime that, and I think in churches there might be singing or praying, anytime you know there's going to be a higher level of vocalization and you're within distance, a mask is strongly recommended. However, I didn't want to mislead you that it's required by the county, because the county has not put that in our public health officer order. But if you wanted to have something more restrictive in your business and you said you would only allow customers in that have a mask, that is your right to have something more restrictive than what the county is asking for. It cannot be less restrictive. So I hope I answered your question. Will nail and lash services be phased in earlier than phase 3? I doubt it. I think the next stage will be phase 3, and that'll be mid-June, as long as we don't have the surge in cases. So again, when I talk about should be mid-June, you're really getting, if our slide rule keeps going and we continue to have a very safe community, we're looking at mid-June. I would assume it would be in phase 3. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't see any nail or face anything coming until phase 3, and we're hopeful that that can be early to mid-June, but we really have no idea.
Do you have to submit your written plan of disinfection to the health department? No, you do not. But as with all the things, if you could please keep it on hand, so that if we come and we request to see it, that you have it available for us. It does not need to be approved by the health department or any department in Mariposa County. It simply needs to be on board. Board of Barbering has posted a checklist of, as well as guidelines to follow. Yes, so that's what we're talking about. We'll post that one on our website as well. Kristen, is what I was talking about earlier was, if you have a governing body that's more restrictive or has their own checklist, that's the normal operating requirement of your business. You must meet that simply because that's your state agency that's guiding you, your governing body. And we offer no relief. If you don't like something they're asking you to do, we can't be less restricted than they are. We can only be more restricted. But thanks for that. We'll link it on our website for anyone that did. And then what you have on this last page is, you know, if you have if you need to contact us, you need to call the phone number 209-259-1332 or email mariposacovid19@gmail.com. That typically gets you to the right place pretty quickly because I'll forward it to the right person, whether it's a health officer question or question for any of us here. You see Kimberly's email, my email, and then the documents, which I referenced earlier. If you need to get any of those documents, great place to go. And if you need any assistance, if you want us to come out and look, you can email either one of us and we'll get out there, get one of us out there. See that question. Oh, thank you. Of course. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to do this as a community together, and whatever we can do to help is important. So, all right, like I mentioned in the beginning, this has been recorded, so it'll be on the website. If you have other people miss this and you know, you can send them in that direction. The church one will be linked there as well for if you're interested in the service, places of worship or services, that'll be there. And all of the reference material will be there as well. And without any other questions, I'll just say I'm glad you all can reopen, do it safely. We're here to help. And we'll let you know when we get to Sector 3 as things, new sectors come out, whether it's nails or face stuff. I don't know the proper way to say that, but we'll have more of these as necessary. So other than that, you have a great day.